So you want to make sure that you're always wearing goggles or safety glasses and gloves at all times. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to measure the appropriate media in the barrel liner per the recipe. Then what we'll do is we'll load whatever objects we're going to run. In this case, it's a low impact 3D printed denture. We're going to take it over to the sink. And we're just going to fill it with regular tap water until we're covering the objects, which is approximately 1.5 inches from the top of the barrel liner, this inner lip. So we'll go ahead and bring the barrel liner back over. And the last thing we're going to add is the appropriate soap per the recipe. So we'll just simply pour it in. No need to mix it. We'll just grab a little to rinse the rest of the soap out of the measuring cup. And then we're ready to load the barrel liner into the machine. So we'll simply place the barrel into the machine. And the way that this clamping system secures the lid is you have a slot on the left side that this will slide into, and then you have 2 clamps on this side. The reason for 2 clamps is extra safety in case one of them fails. So we'll slide it in. We'll go ahead and use our left hand to press down on the lid. Put both of the clamps in position and simply just clamp it into place. And you'll see that there's 2 buttons here. These are actually locking mechanisms to secure the clamps all the way down. So if you're running one barrel, you have to make sure the opposing barrel has a full barrel full of tap water. This creates a counterbalance of weight. The other 2 barrels can remain empty, and you could actually run them with no lids or liners as long as the clamps are secure. In this case, I'm going to leave them in place, but it's handy for you to preload additional barrels for the next job. So I'll go ahead and show you the opposing barrel. So you see, full all the way to the top of the rim with water. That provides enough weight to counterbalance the heavy medias that are loaded. Okay, so we're going to go back to our barrel that's loaded, that we're running. And what we're going to do is do our safety check. This is the most important thing because we can't have these clamps come undone, as this machine's going to be moving at about anywhere from 150 to 300 RPMs depending on the recipe. So this is really going to be moving, and it can do some damage if these clamps flip open or are not secured. So we want to double check that. So what we're going to do is we're going to simply pull on each of the clamps, being mindful not to release these locking mechanisms. So we're going to do the barrel that we have loaded, or the last one that we attached a lid to, and we'll make our way around. We're going to check each one of them, even if you haven't removed them all day. It's an extra safety check. Every single time you run this, you want to do this. Okay, we're back at our barrel that has our object in it. We rechecked, so we're nice and secure. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and close the lid. There's a locking mechanism you'll see here. What that's going to do is once the lid's closed, this machine has to remain locked, so it has to be locked, and then in order for it to start, it will remain locked until the job is finished. So it keeps everybody safe. Okay. So to operate the machine, I remove my gloves, or at least one of them, because I don't want to get the touch screen all wet and messy. And I prefer to use a stylus for this. So what we're going to do from the main screen is we're going to simply go to Select Recipe. We're going to hit, we're going to choose the appropriate recipe from the menu. Oop. So we can just use the arrows to scroll up and down. So in this case, it's low impact printed denture polish step. So I'll select that. Then I'll select Send Run. That'll send the recipe to the unit to tell it exactly what we need to run it at. Okay, so now what you'll see is there's the locking mechanism that we have to do, and so we're going to turn the lock on, and we're going to make sure that this green, or this drive on function turns green. That will allow us to start. If that's not locked, the start button will not function properly. Okay, I want to point out one thing. There is an additional emergency stop, as you can see over here. This is for if something's not balanced, or if one of the lids or clamps fails or was not secured. It can give you a quick emergency stop to shut power off to the unit altogether, so you're not fumbling around with a stop button on the touch screen. Okay, very important. Okay, so what we're going to do is simply lock the door. Then you see that green drive on button. Now we're ready to start the machine. So we just simply press start. And once the machine is done, or the cycle is finished, the machine will stop automatically. So after the machine finishes the cycle, we're going to simply just unlock the door. We're going to put on our gloves, again making sure that we're always using safety goggles or safety glasses and gloves. We'll slide the door open. We'll rotate to the barrel that we had loaded. And by the way, you might want to take a Sharpie, like a black Sharpie or any color, and mark the barrel lids and the barrels themselves. This will help you keep track of what objects you have loaded in each machine or in each barrel. And if you look up here, we actually use a dry erase board or dry erase sticker, and this will allow us to identify how many of each object we have in each barrel. So that's a little bit handy tip there. Okay, so we were in barrel 4. So what we're going to do, you can see that sometimes you will have presence of water here. What this is from the media and the objects creating heat and pressure, and as you notice here, there's actually a pressure relief valve. So that's about 25 psi. So once there's enough heat and pressure to have the valve open, it will release pressure and then close back up. What that can do is sometimes release a little bit of the soapy water. Sometimes you get a little bit of splatter, and so you want to really make sure that you're cleaning that up periodically. What you don't want to see is a large amount of water in the machine or on the ground. That would be a sign that you had either lid secure failure, so a bad seal on the lid, or you may have a bad valve that you need to replace. So you'll have to actually test the valves. So a little bit of a handy tip, we actually have some, we use earth magnets, and what this does is it allows us to actually pull up on the valve, and then we can release the pressure. So you see right there, we release the pressure, so it pulls up on it, and then once that pressure is relieved, then what we can do is release this with surety that we're not going to have any foaming over or anything going on. Okay, so you can use a rag around that too, just to make sure. But what I like to do, this is just a wet rag, I like to wipe down the lid real quick and wipe down the locking mechanisms. So as the more clean you keep this machine, the better it's going to run. You don't want things caked on here. Okay, and by the way, at the end of the day, we do a full wipe down of all parts of the machine, everything that you can reach, including the barrels and the liners. It really keeps this thing running in tip-top shape. Super, super easy. Okay, so what you want to do, just in case there's a valve issue or there's still pressure in there, for safety purposes, you want to use your left hand, and you want to kind of lock your elbow and just secure it in place just in case. It should not pop up at all. And then what we're going to do is we're going to push on that locking button to release the lock of the clamp. Okay, and then we'll just fold it down. So then we'll do the same thing with the other one, and you can see not a lot of pressure because we already relieved it. So we'll go ahead and remove the lid, and there's going to be a little bit of foam. That's okay. So what you want to do is just sweep that in, And we also want to observe, make sure we don't have any media up on the lid, the rim of the lid, and we don't have any media in the rim of the liner. Very important, because that's where it seals. Okay, any presence of media in the rim or on the lid will keep it from sealing properly, and you'll have leakage. Okay, so there's two ways to separate the objects out of the barrel liner. For larger objects, you may want to use just a simple spoon. Usually they're sitting up on top. You can kind of sort through the foam a little bit, no big deal. So you can see that some of the media will stick to it. It can stick to your gloves too, so you can just kind of sweep them off, kind of give it a little tap, and then you can go ahead and rinse at the sink. The other way, for smaller objects especially, is you just remove the barrel liner, and then you simply go over to a sink that has a plaster trap. And I like to use a tub as well to capture as much of anything that might fall off before it gets into the plaster trap. And then we just simply pour into the sieve that's provided. Okay. So then what we're going to do is we're going to rinse this barrel liner out. Okay. So let's go ahead and turn the water on. And just take a sprayer and just get all the media out of there. That way you ensure that you do not cross-contaminate different medias. If you cross-contaminate different medias, you're going to get negative results with your objects. Okay? Alright, so then we'll just simply use the sprayer to hose off the media. And as we do, it will expose our objects, as you can see here. So we can simply just rinse the objects. And then it's up to you. You can either use an ultrasonic to clean it the rest of the way. You can use a steam cleaner. This is just regular soap, so it comes right off. And then obviously you would want to sterilize it before going to the patient's mouth.